Joy News Prime.
Tonight on Joy News Prime, Supreme Court finds radio talk show panelists accused of making threatening remarks against the judiciary guilty of contempt. That defers their sentencing for another 9 days. We'll bring you details from the courts. Former First Daughter Zaneto Rawlings gets favorable ruling in a case in which her eligibility to run for parliament on the ticket of the governing National Democratic Congress is being challenged. First day of voters register exhibition exercise at 29,000 polling stations around the country, off to a slow start.
And coming up in business, Monetary Policy Committee of the Bank of Ghana keeps lending rate unchanged at 26% for the fourth consecutive time since November last year.
And Legal, Parliamentary and Constitutional Affairs Committee recommends for approval the constitutional amendments which will see the date for the country's general election brought forward to November. My name is Israel. Also in the bulletin available across Europe on ABN Television is Sports Entertainment and Joy News Interactive. Stay tuned. The Supreme Court has, by a majority decision, ruled in favor of the NDC's parliamentary candidate for Klote Kole here in Accra, Dr. Zaneto Rawlings, whose candidature is being challenged by incumbent Member of Parliament Ni Ama Ashite. By a 4-1 decision, the judges ruled Dr. Rawlings did nothing wrong in contesting for the Kole Klote parliamentary seat, even though she was not a registered voter at the time. They averred it is only when the Electoral Commission accepts the candidature of a person before his or her status as a registered voter can be scrutinized. Here's Joy News' Raymond Aqua's report.
Dr. Zaneto Rawlings won the parliamentary primaries held last year, but the incumbent MP Ni Ama Ashite contested the victory at the High Court, claiming the daughter of the former president Rawlings was not a registered voter before contesting the primaries. He cited Article 94(1)(a), which in part states, quote, "Subject to the provisions of this article, a person shall not be qualified to be a member of parliament unless A, he is a citizen of Ghana, has attained the age of 21 years and is a registered voter," unquote. The High Court upheld the decision of the applicant, but lawyers of Dr. Rawlings proceeded to the Supreme Court to challenge the decision of the lower court. Godwin Tamaklo, who is counsel for Dr. Rawlings, argued the High Court judge had no jurisdiction and did not have the power to interpret Article 94. He prayed the court to quash the decision by Justice Kweku T. Akabuafo. The Supreme Court agreed with counsel for Dr. Rawlings and ordered a stay of proceedings at the High Court. At the last adjourned date, the Supreme Court promised to rule on Article 94(1)(a) and clarify when a citizen of Ghana by virtue of non-registration can be said to be disqualified from contesting as MP. Delivering a judgment today, the presiding judge, His Lordship William Atuguba, ordered the High Court to take judicial notice of this ruling in its determination of the substantive case.
Now, it has been a smooth but slow start to the nationwide voters exhibition and re-registration exercise which began today. Regional checks indicate that there has been limited incidents but a low turnout. Here's a report detailing events from the regions. Right, we'll bring you that story a little later. But the re-registration of the NHIS registrants took a different turn in the central region. We understand angry people besieged the EC office in Cape Coast. Let's get more details from our correspondent Richard Kojonyako. Good evening to you, Richard. Hello, Richard. Hello, Richard, if you can hear me. How did the exercise go in the central region? Right, we do not have Richard on the line right now. We'll take a quick break. We'll be back. All right, you're welcome back to Joy News Prime. We're going back to our earlier story on the opening of the register for people, for the exhibition of the register. The re-registration exercise of the NHIS registrants, we're told, took a different turn in the central region, where we understand angry people besieged the EC office in Cape Coast. Let's get more details from our correspondent Richard Kojonyako. Good evening to you, Richard. We're having an issue reaching you earlier on. I believe you can hear me loud and clear now.
I can hear you, Israel.
All right, so tell us about the exercise there in the Central Region.
Well, the exercise went on smoothly. It started on a very slow pace, and getting to the evening, it picked up, and the people started trickling to the various polling centers that have been earmarked for the registration exercise and then the exhibition. And in the Cape Coast office of the Electoral Commission, some angry men and women took to the office, yelling and insulting the EC officials for actually accusing them that it was a calculated attempt to delete their names from the voters' register to prevent them from voting. They tried calming them down, but to no avail. And so the EC had to invite some police people to come and calm tempers down and explain issues to these NHIS registrants, that it wasn't a deliberate attempt, but the situation demanded that they deleted their names. And so it offered them the opportunity to re-register again. And so when at the close of the day, 8 people, the EC office was able to register 8 people, Israel.
All right, thank you very much, Richard Kojunyako, bringing us up to speed with the exercise there in the Central Region. Well, 29,000 polling stations were opened across the country on Monday to enable the registered voters verify their names on the electoral roll as well as their thumbprints. Those whose names were deleted on the orders of the Supreme Court for registering with the National Health Insurance cards are also being given an opportunity to register again, as you heard Richard Kojunyako saying. Jennifer Kwama, who has been around a number of the centers here in Accra, says whilst most centers saw low interest in the exercise, Electoral Commission officials in other areas say it's been encouraging.
It's the first day of the voter re-registration and exhibition program. These 2 exercises are running concurrently following the deletion of citizens who registered with NHIS cards and need to be re-registered in order not to be disenfranchised during the upcoming elections. Patronage at various centers got off to a slow start at most of the polling centers we visited. With just about 30 minutes to closing, Linda Abassa of the Harvard Senior High School polling station said the turnout was not impressive.
We did had a low turnout. Actually, up till now, we had 27 verification successful. Yeah.
And how many people are in your register at Harvard Senior High?
608.
So 27 out of 608. The situation was far different at the Accra Technical Training Center, where an electoral officer there, Godfred Ofosu, was pleased at the encouraging numbers on the first day.
Today has been a successful day. We have a wonderful exhibition exercise. The turnout has been so encouraging, and we're expecting them also to come as the days go by.
Another electoral officer, Rashida, explained to Joy News what the citizens can expect when they go to the polling center to either re-register or check their names in the roll.
When you arrive, I'll first check from the list. We have 7 different kind of lists. I'll check from it. If your name is inside, I'll just take your ID and then check your picture. I'll then verify you and then mark you. But when your name is not inside and you are from this center, I'll fill a form for you and a request list. You just take it to the EC office and then get a new card. But this is your center. But when you have a different center code, I'll just direct you to your center. But right now, when you come and your name is inside, I'll just take your ID card and then check from it and then send you to my VO. She's absent right now and then she will verify you. So that's all the work. But so far, I can check and then show you those who have verified.
And what about the exhibition exercise?
The exhibition is going well. Everything is going well right now. The exhibition, we are just checking the names of people who are verified, and if there is a correction, we will just correct your name.
The re-registration exercise will end on the 28th of July, and exhibition exercise will end on August 7.
Well, the Electoral Commission has been reacting to reports of low patronage at the exhibition centres. The EC's Deputy Director of Communications, Yusuf Al-Hassan Ayuba, he's been speaking to Joy News, and he's also assured those persons who had concerns with the registration that those issues will be resolved.
As far back as 2 weeks ago, we issued a press statement detailing the time and period in which we were going to have our exhibition. And judging from the Supreme Court ruling, I think that the media has carried a lot of stories about on the activities of the Electoral Commission, and we've been out there telling people when the exhibition period is starting, and so if people are still saying they are not aware,
Let's talk about the re-registration exercise. The list that came out, many have raised concerns about it. Some see their names in there with the NHIS card number. Some see that they did not even register with the NHIS card, yet their names are found on this list of 56,000. People are questioning this list.
What we are doing now is we are telling the field operatives, anyone who comes to the center to complain that he or she did not register with the NHIS card and has found his or her name on the list that we've published, we should pick the details of the person, the full name, the ID number, the polling station code, so that we will go back to the source document, because we brought everything to Accra, so that we'll go and really check whether what the person is saying is actually true, before we can confirm whether it is true that the person did not register with an NHIS card or the person actually did.
Okay. There are other concerns too about some of the digits being less than the approved ones. For instance, they say that some of the numbers had either less than 8 for the NHIS card or less than 10 for the voter's ID number. How can we have this problem with the list?
Those are all concerns that we've received, and actually we've even cited some. I think that it could come from the pressure. You know, we were given only 4 days to produce that list, so maybe some of those things. We've told them that if you come and some of these challenges, because we have the source document in Accra currently as I speak, so we could always cross-check.
Now, contemnors in a case of threat against justices of the Supreme Court have been found guilty. The court presided over by Justice Sufai Akufu found the accused guilty for scandalizing the court, defying and lowering the authority of the court and bringing it into disrepute. Alistair and 2 others, Godwin Akrogan and host of the Pampaso political program on Munti FM, Salifu Mase, have been cited for contempt over threatening comments they made against Supreme Court judges. They threatened to kill the judges if they ruled against the Electoral Commission in the voters' register case brought before the Supreme Court by a member of the PNC, Abu Ramadan. Joy News' Raymond Aqua was in court and filed this report.
The court, after hearing all the contemnors plead guilty, convicted them for contempt, despite counsel for the owners of the station, Nana Atudazi's plea for mercy. One of the 3 contemnors, Alistair Nelson, in leading a temper justice with mercy chorus in the desperate effort to escape jail term, said he suffered from or was overcome by some spirit which forced him to make the contemptuous comments. Salifu Mase, the host of the show, also blamed his producer for leading the panelists in their threat to kill crusade against the judges. When he was asked to defend his statement, Alistair, open fire and let's go. The host said his producer was supposed to call him to order, but he failed to do so. Godwin Akrogan, who had early on denied ever being present on the day the alleged contentious comments were made a U-turn. When he returned to court, he withdrew the statement he issued. They were held in contempt together with the owners of the station and were to show reason why they should not be found guilty. They prayed the court for more time to study the summons when the case was called on July 12, a request the judges agreed to and adjourned to July 18. On Monday, the 3 contemnors lined up before the justices and led by their counsel sang a rehearsed chorus for leniency rather than justice. This was after the judges ordered a rebroadcast of the contemptuous comments made by the contemnors, but the counsel for the 3 pleaded against it, insisting they were so ashamed of the contents of the audio and did not want it replayed. But the presiding judge, Sufai Akufu, said they were at a court to deliver justice, and so it would be played. The case has been adjourned to July 27, 2016 for sentencing, and the contemnors have been given self-recognizance bail.
Still on this case, former legal practitioner and former editor of the Ghanaian Observer newspaper, Egbert Fable, has cautioned Ghanaian journalists to be mindful of commentary they make regarding the justices of the court to avoid being incarcerated.
The common sense, there's no proper checklist for that. You just have to look at yourself and say that what I'm going to say, is it capable of poisoning the streams of justice such that a court can get upset and hold me before it for on contempt of court charges? So it is up to us. I think that we have a certain framework and we must all be guided by that framework. That look, if you are not sure, don't say, or at most speak to a lawyer before, let the lawyer, at least educate you as to the extent to which you can go. Nobody is saying that what matter is before court, you cannot talk about it. We talk about matters in court every day, but there's a way to do it. And as media people, we need to be circumspect. The key word is what you are going to say. Is it going to be prejudicial? And prejudicial is not a term of art. It is not only lawyers who can use it. All use that word so almost every one of us understands the meaning of the word prejudicial. So if what are going to say prejudicial of a court, of a judge, or a party in a matter to the extent that it hinges on the way a court will rule or determine a matter, then you have to be cautious.
Well, saying with politics, and the flag bearer of the Convention People's Party, Ivor Greenstreet, is in the Ashanti region. Kwesi Debra has been following him, and he joins us on the line now. Good evening to you, Kwesi.
Good evening, Israel.
All right, so tell us about Ivor Greenstreet's rounds in the Ashanti region.
Okay, he started the whole campaign here in the Ashanti region. Today he went to the drum market to campaign, and the areas of his speech, first of all, revolves around, the agriculture, and secondly, on the issue of strategizing. Because he thinks, with the issue of strategizing, he thinks the Ashanti region, there are some political parties who are claiming the Ashanti region is a World Bank for them. But he says, and he's urging the Ashantis that they should try and re-strategize so that one party cannot claim Ashanti region for itself. And also with the issue of agriculture, he talked about the almond tree, saying that there's a whole lot of potential in the almond tree site in areas like California, which he says supplies about 80% of the world market and makes billions and billions of dollars every year from the almond tree. And he has observed that the Ashanti region has a vast arable land, and that could be very suitable for making money and creating jobs from this tree.
Now, what has been the sort of reception he's received from the people in the Ashanti region?
Well, it's a bit of the midway, because it's not that much. I cannot say that little, but it's not that much. It's a bit of a midway.
All right, thank you very much. The Kwesi Debra bringing us to speed on the CPP flag bearer Ivor Greenstreet, who started his campaign apparently in the Ashanti. Right, time for business, and Emmanuel Abajuya is here. Good evening to you, Emmanuel.
Good evening, Izzy. How is it?
I'm fine.
Okay.
How about you?
I'm doing well, thanks.
Okay. Have you gone to check whether your name is in the voters' list?
No, I've not gone yet. Maybe during the weekend, because I don't have time over the weekend.
During the week to do that. Okay, fine. But you need to.
Exactly, sure. I'll do it.
So that you won't be surprised on voting day. You get there and they tell you that your name is not.
I'll make sure I check and it's verified.
Yeah.
That's
and I hope you didn't register with an NHIS.
No, I did it with my passport.
All right, you take it.
All right, thank you very much. And thanks for joining me on the business. The Monetary Policy Committee of the Bank of Ghana has kept its lending rate unchanged again. The committee left the policy rate at 26%. This is about the fourth consecutive time since November last year that the rate has been maintained. Speaking at a conference to announce the new rate, Central Bank Governor Dr. Abdul Nasiru Isahaku noted that threat to the economy was not that bad in terms of its outlook.
The committee has decided to maintain the policy rate at 26%. At the May 2016 MPC meetings, it was noted that headline inflation had declined from 19.2% in March to 18.7% in April. However, with the 5% upward adjustment in the ex-pump prices of petroleum products and its pass-through effect on prices, headline inflation moved up slightly to 18.9% in May, but has since declined to 18.4% in June. These observed trends in inflation over the first half of 2016 have largely been influenced by increases in the prices of petroleum products, utility tariffs, and food prices. Since most of these adjustments are cost-push in nature, the current monetary policy stance is deemed appropriate and hence maintained. Core inflation, and that is CPI inflation, excluding energy and utility prices, has stabilized in June.
You're welcome back to Joy News Prime. The National Media Commission has ruled that the content of a broadcast by Joy FM Super Morning Show host Kojo Yangsing on January 13, 2016 about 2 Gitmo detainees was misleading to the public and not fair to the Attorney General and Minister of Justice Marietta Brew Apiaupong. The Commission issued a statement Monday after adjudicating on a complaint filed by the Attorney General against Mr. Yangsing. My colleague Raymond Aqua has a copy of that statement and joins me in the studio. Good evening to you, Raymond. What else is the statement saying?
The Commission says that as its complaint settlement committee, the Attorney General had complained that there was a broadcast she found to be untrue and calculated to mislead the public. She also found the broadcast and publication to be defamatory, and that the details is that at some point in time she met the host of the Super Morning Show, and this was a gentleman who asked her under which laws the government of Ghana was keeping the 2 Gitmo detainees of the U.S. government in Ghana. And she maintained that this gentleman, who she later found out to be is the Super Morning Show host, did not introduce himself to her, nor did he indicate he was conducting an interview. She therefore directed him to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and the minister in charge of that particular ministry, who was nearby on the matter. The gentleman turned out to be the Joy FM Super Morning Show host, who later broadcasted on radio that the Attorney General and the Minister of Justice had told him she was not involved in the arrangements relating to how the 2 Gitmo detainees were brought into the country.
All right.
So when they asked for some evidence, that is what the committee is saying, that backs that particular claim that Kojo Yangsing is said to have made. The report says Kojo could not substantiate the claim. Right. The more reason why they say this is an unfair reportage.
Right. So essentially there was a meeting between the 2 of them. There was a conversation between himself and the Attorney General, except the Attorney General is saying that he had not introduced himself as a journalist.
She didn't identify him to be a journalist, and that what she told him was go and speak to the Foreign Affairs Minister. Did not necessarily mean she had no knowledge of the arrangement to bring people into this country that Gitmo to.
Right. What else is the statement saying?
The statement also moves to say that, this particular exercise is in conduct with the NMC's specific powers, and that they are asking the media to actually be fair and be reasonable in their reportage when they are dealing with public officers in this particular case.
All right, thank you very much, Raymond Aqua. And you were also at the court earlier. I'm sure it was. It's been some interesting day for you, monitoring or seeing other journalists brought before court, and essentially being grilled the way it was. Tell us a bit about the experience.
Well, it was not exciting, but it was actually, I wish and you fear that it could be you. Just that I'm not sure I'll be making certain comments that put me there like that. Yeah. But to stand before the Supreme Court, be mellowed, to be subjected to the kind of questioning that comes in, and to be asked questions like, do you plead liable? Mindful of the fact that it could send you to jail. It was a very humbling experience for most people, and it only tells you that there are limits to which you can perform, and that your responsibilities and also your freedoms are not limitless in this case.
Thank you very much, Raymond Aqua. He's been doing a brilliant job on court reporting. We're taking a quick break. Now, Parliament's Legal, Parliamentary and Constitutional Affairs Committee is recommending to the House that the House approve the constitutional amendments that would see the date changed, or the date for Ghana's general elections changed or move forward from December 7 as it is now to November. But it appears not all the MPs are convinced about this decision.
Parliament now has the ultimate responsibility to either vote to accept or reject the proposal to amend Article 112 of the Constitution to enable the Electoral Commission hold presidential and parliamentary elections in November instead of December. The House's Legal, Constitutional and Parliamentary Committee is recommending the adoption of its report to amend the Constitution to reflect the change in date. In the report, which is yet to be taken on the floor for consideration, members of the committee say they are satisfied with preparations of the Electoral Commission and want the House to vote for the amendment. Magnus Amoate is chairman of the Legal, Constitutional and Parliamentary Affairs Committee.
The procedures of Parliament should be matured for debate for second reading on Wednesday. Yeah, so during the second reading, I think we'll hear members' views about it. But since my report has been laid, my committee has recommended to Parliament to pass the Constitutional Amendment Bill. We have recommended to Parliament. We have not taken a decision for Parliament. And this is because in our report we have clearly highlighted that we spoke with the Electoral Commission. We put before the Electoral Commission all the apprehensions or the issues raised by some of the political parties as to the readiness of the Electoral Commission to conduct the elections should the amendment be carried for 7th November. And we got the assurance from the Electoral Commission that they are fully ready. And you will recall that Electoral Commission has, even prior to meeting us, had a press conference in which they laid to bear their program of activities to show that they are working and preparing towards the conduct of the elections on 7th November. So, along with the advice we had and the confirmation we had from the Ministry of Finance, which we also invited to appear before our committee, the Ministry of Finance also confirmed that they are ready to make the appropriate releases to the Electoral Commission to enable it finance the conduct of the 2016 elections. They even went to the extent of telling us that even in the event of a runoff, they are prepared to finance it. So, based upon...
But ranking member of the committee, Joe Osei-Owusu, says there are serious concerns that must be addressed before the proposed amendment can take place.
The two quarters, they have been released, but not all of them have been disbursed. They use technical words, released. That is only paper instructions that
the money should be given out.
Yes, but the money hasn't reached the EC. Okay, so that's one challenge. Then you go beyond that. The finance ministry came and said, "Oh, we assure you, we'll give them all the money. We are preparing to give them the third quarter." That's an assurance. From my experience in working with government, money is money only when it reaches your hand.
So, are we in some kind of danger financially wise ahead of the elections? The foot dragging doesn't stop.
The EC doesn't think so. And it's not for me to say whether that is appropriate. The EC doesn't think so. The EC thinks that they'll get all the money. They have the assurance. But beyond the money, they will get it when? And how is that going to affect their procurement process? They said they have finished procurement, but they haven't paid for it. The technical equipment that they are procuring, shouldn't we be test running them now? So that if there are any defects, we correct them before the D-Day. Are we going to sit through and go through the same challenges we did in 2012 when people will queue for many, many hours and still not get the opportunity to vote because a BVD machine is not identifying the fingers, even though the person's name is in the register? So at this time, we should have the BVD machines. We should be testing them now. If there are any defects, we correct them. We should have been practicing with it, but...
Already, some political pundits have cast doubts on the EC's ability to finalize all processes if it needs to go through before November for a successful poll. The other challenge is mobilizing the 2/3 majority needed for the amendments to pass. Whether the EC is able to scale over the hurdles before it's ahead of November 7 remains to be seen.
All right, so it's time for entertainment. And Miss G is here. Good evening to you, Miss G.
Good evening, but how come you didn't notice my look? I have a new look.
Well,
very special one.
Well, I just introduced you. I'm yet to say anything about your look.
Okay, so...
But yeah, you're looking hot.
Oh, thank you very much. Oh, I love myself. Anyway, how's your weekend?
My weekend was good.
Okay, so we're back from the weekend. One person we haven't seen in the media space for a long time after he got married is the man Kwakese Abodam. Now, Kwakese says he's married. A lot of things will change. We are wondering, is he going to change his brand now that he's married and he's telling us that he doesn't want his kids to come back from school and ask him questions about certain things he does in his music and things that show about him on television? Will Kwakese change his brand?
Those days, you know, we used to, you know, mingle with the guys a lot. You know, we don't eat good. You know, now wifey looks to it that I eat good. You know, I'm not a breakfast person, but Charlie, this time, there's nothing has changed about the brand. You know, one good thing about it is that Kwao, who used to be, you know, the crazy guy on the street, is now a responsible guy with kids. You know, so that some stuff like that will change. You know, I'm a responsible man. I don't want to do stuff that my kids will come home and be asking me unnecessary questions about. You know, but the brand is still crazy. You know, still at the end, you know, the songs are crazy. The stage is always on point.
Okay. But do you feel affected by marriage?
I feel affected by marriage. You know, whatever I used to do, if I want to do it, I will do it. Whatever I want to do, I don't think marriage can stop me.
All right, so marriage won't stop him, but he has some advice for people who want to get married. He says ever since he got married, he's seen a lot of significant changes in his life. But
he was married before.
Yes, so he speaks about his marriage that didn't work before and says that he dedicates his new track to Funny Face and speaks to all those who want to get married soon.
Those days, you know, we used to, you know, mingle with the guys a lot. You know, we don't eat good. You know, now wifey looks to it that I eat good. You know, I'm not a breakfast person, but Charlie, this time, you know, I can't resist it because when we wake up, breakfast is there. You know, so that's why I get some small hunam on my body, but still, you know, we popping.
Advise your fellow celebrities to get married, especially the male ones.
Get married when you are ready to. You know, don't just try it. It's not try your luck. What I say, it is something that takes a whole life. You know, like a whole of you goes into it. So you have to plan well. You know, and get ready, prepared before you can go into it, or else you'll be like somebody that I know. Yeah, I have a new song. The title of the song is Oda Dami, and I'm specially dedicating the song to Funny Face, my brother. You know, who has his own thing going on. You know, I decided to dedicate the song to him because the song speaks and talks mainly about his issues. You know, like if you listen to Funny Face's issues and what is going on in his life, and you listen to the song, Fantini Beka Wobwebra, you know, they have something in common.
What is it with celebrity marriages?
You know, we're living in a world where nobody can be trusted. You know, so it's not only about celebrities. You know, my first marriage didn't work due to distance, the distance between us. And you know, that's how, to me, that's how I see it. That's why it didn't work. As for my brother and his wife, I can't tell what happened, you know. But hey, if you are a celebrity, you know, a lot of ladies will, you know, throw themselves at you.
Well, then if you're a celebrity, you get a lot of guys coming your way.
Oh, I was just going to say that good for you. You get a lot of ladies throwing themselves at you.
Because I'm already taking, so I'm out.
No, but still, but you know, even when you're taking, you don't have a lot of them.
Yeah, but you're single and the men are coming your way in droves.
It doesn't work that way. The men don't come. The ladies get to go to the men. You know, that's how it works. You know that. That's why you're smiling.
It's not true.
That's true. But for those who are not familiar with Funny Face's story, of course, throughout last week, we began to talk about Funny Face divorcing his wife 7 months ago. And gradually, we're beginning to hear stories and rumors, allegations as to what really transpired. Over the weekend, there was an interview that was granted GhanaCelebrity.com. First off by a gentleman who claims to be Funny Face's friend for years and knows exactly what Funny Face has been going through over the years. Now, he granted this interview without the knowledge of Funny Face. In this interview...
Well, that's what Funny Face says.
That's what Funny Face says, because he also responds to the interview, to the same GhanaCelebrity.com. But let's start off with this man who we all do not know. He says is an industry person. He tells us in this interview that Funny Face's ex-wife was married to a 62-year-old man. So Funny Face's marriage, or her marriage to Funny Face, is the second marriage she's had. Now, he tells us as well that before this lady got married to Funny Face, he had something to do with her, which Funny Face didn't know until he granted this interview. He says that there have been times when Funny Face had lifted a gun to his own head, threatening to commit suicide because of the things that had been going on in his marriage. He alleges that months before their engagement, the lady was caught cheating. It got worse to the point that Funny Face bought her a car, but tracked the car. So there was a tracker in the car. And so he tracked every movement of this lady. And she was caught at several places she had denied that she was at. And so one of the days, Funny Face got angry and lifted his hand and beat her. Now, Funny Face, who wasn't too happy with this interview that his so-called friend had granted, said that he has now let the cat out of the bag. He didn't want people to speak ill of the woman he's once been married to. Now, this friend of his, he told all the things he told him in confidence. And so he didn't expect that he would grant this interview. And it is news to him that they actually had a relationship before he got married to her.
Essentially, he's confirming all the things that the guy has said, really.
Exactly, he confirmed all the things.
That it's in confidence. I mean, he didn't think that the guy was.
And even goes on to add that he has 4 extra friends of his who are all exes of his ex-wife. So it's interesting how things are unfolding.
Where does Funny Face say all these?
He granted an interview to Chris Vicent of GhanaCelebrity.com, you know. So he said all these to him. The friend first granted an interview, and he called Chris Vicent that he wanted to respond to all the allegation that his friend had actually made. He didn't deny any of the things that his friend said.
All right. It's getting quite disturbing.
Very disturbing, and for some people it's getting interesting because we are still waiting for Nana Adwoa to speak about the issue. But until she speaks, we'll just only be dealing with the allegations and rumors that we've had. But in this view, or in this vein, we tried to find out from some celebrities, starting with DKB, who was on the radio over the weekend, saying it's so appropriate for men to cheat. He says it's appropriate for them to cheat because they actually buy the ring. The women get to bear their surname.
That I heard that statement. It still doesn't make sense to me.
I thought that it was one of his comedy shows on radio.
Probably.
Because I don't know if my father will be happy listening to this, you know, and I don't even know if his girlfriend's dad will be excited about all this comment, but well, let's say that's what he said.
Maybe he was just joking.
Maybe he was joking. And then we begin to speak to Edinati, who also thinks that, yes, he's cheated before. It's okay. It's not okay to cheat, but once a partner begins to cheat, it means that the other person has played a role in their cheating. And Nikki Simone's, most of the celebrities actually agree that yes, it's okay. They've experienced people cheating on them, and they have also cheated on people, but they cited diverse reasons why people will cheat. And the top of the list is trust. trust, and they say for celebrities, you guys get pressure all the time. Pressure from society, pressure from work, pressure from the girls, you know, beckoning at you.
Why
and
are you
all
putting
that.
me in
Because
on
you're
the
the
spot
celeb, you know,
and
you're the
pointing to
celebrity.
me?
You're the celebrity. Okay, so you know what? I'm going to be giving you pressure. What can I buy you as a celebrity?
You want to buy me a Jaguar?
That's all it takes. That's all it takes. I'll find a lady who can buy you a Jaguar. Anyway, before I go, there's an interesting story. Shatawale grants an interview to Delay, and he was asked about Bulldog and Chris Waddle. Here's what he says about two of them.
Okay, so apparently we have it. Right, sorry, Chris here with the sports. Good evening.
Good evening, Asia. You know, Hearts of Oak are sweating over the fitness of their top striker.
But they won.
Cosmos Dauda, yes, ahead of the super clash on Sunday against Asante Kotoko.
But
they won against Hazakis, but their top strike on top of the table now. But their top striker got injured during the game, and Hearts of Oak are sweating over his fitness ahead of the super clash against Asante Kotoko.
I mean, some of these injuries can be worrying. Do you have anything on the Demba Ba injury?
Yeah, Demba Ba, too bad an injury.
Injury was awful. I mean, just watching the video itself breaks my heart.
Potentially career-ending injury. Horrific.
How does one get injured that
horrific.
way? It's
but
horrific.
in football, injuries don't give seminars. If they did, nobody will get injured. They are inevitable. We can't quite prevent them. And UEFA, they have named a 10-man shortlist for the Best Player Award. Ronaldo in it, Messi in it, Neymar not in it. Amazing.
Well, okay, take it away.
Okay, so it's not time for sports here on Joy News Prime with me, Asari Bideako. And as you may be aware already, 16 Ghanaian athletes will compete at this year's Olympic Games in Rio. But Team Ghana will not get enough time to prepare for the Games. And many Ghanaians don't expect the athletes to win medals at the Games. But Chris Esilfi, who will lead Ghana's delegation to Brazil, has a different opinion altogether.
I don't think that we should put unnecessary pressure on these young athletes who have qualified to represent us. I believe that any athlete who has qualified is worth a shot, and so you don't discount any opportunity that any athlete of this can make. I don't believe in that statement at all, because you see, beside the fact that we even talk about Olympism, which some of you don't want to hear, it is indeed the case. The athletes will have to present themselves at some point in time, and they build on it. And even that, look at an event like the 4x100. Why on earth would you say that you don't have what it takes to win a medal?
Yeah.
It's not appropriate to say that, because one, even the time they have now, until last Friday, was the fourth best, fastest time in the world. Look, last year they qualified to be at the World Championship. That's top 8. This year, the time they made until last Friday was the fourth fastest in the world. After the Bahamas competition, 2 countries came up, and so it's the 6th, as we speak, is the 6th fastest in the world. If that is anything to go by, it puts them automatically in the final, and for 4x100 is anybody's game. So I don't think that we should discount anybody's chance.
Right, and my name is Israel. Thank you very much for watching. You can get more news at myjoyonline.com. You have a good evening.
This is Joy News Prime.